We're going to talk about the making of Series 3 cheap toys today. That's what this is, or is supposed to be. So yeah, this was made over a 7-year period, and it didn't take 7 years to make. It just, with delays and stuff, COVID being the main one. Anyway, we finally got it done this year, just ahead of the 40th anniversary of cheap toys. So I'm going to talk about this, what went into making it. So I have a portfolio here with my contributions to it. So at one time, just theoretically, this was a white box. There's a time when none of these were made. They weren't even sculpted yet, right? So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the making of this, how it came about. And so, yeah, plus mainly just showing the things I drew. Okay. So yeah, here are the pieces of it. You have the box painting. This is an acrylic painting that I went through the pencil, color, and final art stage. You have all the art on here. This cheap toys, I designed that. I'll show you the designs. And then Alvin is the sculptor who made the toys. We used BAZOOKA gum because that's what Topps would have done had they made it this year. And so I'll show you the checklist art that went into making this little checklist. We have the cell sheets we can look at. So anyway, so the project started in 2018, just with a couple of guys, fanboys. I live in Georgia. He's over there in Oregon. We're trying to do all this on Messenger, right? Now, I've known Alvin since 2010, 2010, and he's been making these things since then. And so we've been playing with this idea of making a Series 3 even longer than 7 years, but that's when it started. So anyway, what this first one is, I got a whole book of them. You got a minute? This is the design that went into making this. So if you look at the old cheap toy box, this is what's called the tape design. This is supposed to be torn tape. This is something Thomas Bunk came up with. For Series 2, this is a Novo Bonbon Series 2. Look closely at the lettering. Those are patches. Well, I'll show you my mindset on this. It's coming up behind it. It's actually a little bit out of order, or this page is. But I went with bricks. This is one of our ill-fated packs. This is one of the nicer ones I pulled. So I am going to say one pack. But these are being redone by a professional printer. But this is one of our bad ones that actually turned out pretty good. But anyway, so that's what this page is. Notice I drew bricks here because I'm trying to get the spacing right on the inside of the letters. So I drew them here too. Anyway, here's more. This is when I finalized the design with a Sharpie, and this was scanned into Photoshop. Basically, here's just a clear page I needed for tracing. Oh, but this is when I'm trying to come up with the design. Sorry about the glare. I need to do something here. Let's do that. So over here on the left, shit. This book is heavy, actually. And it's trying to slide on me. Okay, so over here, you see the old designs. You see the patches. You see the torn tape. So my concepts were originally, damn it, gum splat, bricks, which I went with later. Flies. Oh, we're blurred out. Flies. Now, these are Tom Bunk flies. Bullet holes. Cracks. So in the end, I went with bricks. I love bricks. I've always loved like bricks. And I just thought it was cool and permanent, and just kind of urban and, underground bricks. I always think of it like an alleyway. Okay. On the next page. Yeah, this is just going to be a bitch. Hold on 1 minute. There we go. I'm feeling better already. Let me move this crap. All right, we'll get this figured out. I'm not gonna hold it up. Yeah, I'll hold it up by this. I'm not gonna show this page. This is where I traced the Thomas Bunk original cheap toy box art. I own that. And so I have a huge advantage over most people who try to do cheap toys. I own all the work that they did originally. This is a page where I'm coming up with shit to add to the pile of gum here. Originally, this was going to be filled with trash because Hector Collector was going to be sort of a hoarder as well. Now, I ended up using none of this. On this page, let me make sure you're always in focus. I just realized we weren't. Here, there's a splat, there's the fly, here's the crack, looks like a Chevrolet sign, brick, there's a bullet hole behind it. So I'm just playing around with ideas. Okay, here we come with the character designs. So Alvin had already drawn, the guy who I worked with, my partner, he had already drawn Hector Collector. Now this was his idea. For the mascot, his idea, and it's brilliant, and I agreed with him 100%, should be Hector Collector. And the reason is we're no longer children. Me and you, I'm talking to you. We're fucking middle-aged adults. We're Hector Collector. We're no longer that little random kid. Most of us have spent so much money on this shit. Some of us have hoarding issues. I have major hoarding issues, impulse spending problems, lifetime impulse spending issues, on a level of a gambler even. So the concept, and he gave me this as a painting, and this is my sketch of what I saw. So I started with Hector Collector standing up, facing you, holding a bundle of 10 cheap toys. And you're going to see me morph this into other concepts. The next concept, what if Hector Collector was opening a huge bag of cheap toys? The bag was going to be the size or bigger than Hector Collector. So on the card, if you remember, he's peeling back a trading card. Well, the concept was he's going to be opening a large, almost like a Santa bag of cheap toys. And so that was my first concept. Here I take it a little bit further. Please don't judge my baby designs. I'm not trying, in any of these, I'm not trying to get the perfect baby designs. What I'm trying to do is trying to find the concept art for the box. I'm not trying to land a perfect proportional baby. So that's the proportions are wonky. This is really a toddler, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not perfect. So please ignore this as we go. I'm not trying to land Hector Collector yet. I land him later, after about a year. Anyway, so in this design, the box art was going to be a pile of cheap toy bags and him breaking into one, and there's going to be Blow Joe. At the time, we thought Blow Joe was going to be the best one. We thought he was going to be the most iconic of the 10 toys. And that changed later. So I'm glad I didn't go with that one. And plus, keep in mind, we did Bazooka gum. And so I was thinking, okay, let me be honest. I never told Al this. I can't get this box to go down. I never told Al this, but I thought about, I was going to secretly work on having a box art with Blow Joe on the top, since we did Bazooka gum. And it was going to be him with gum fucking coming off of his hands. Pause. Okay, let's move this. We're going to keep going. I need to speed this up. Sorry about that. We got a whole book to go through. Next up, please do not judge these characters. I wasn't trying that hard. I was just trying to figure out what we could do with them. Here he's opening a closet door, and cheap toys and shit are going to be falling out. Here, yeah, I remember this day. I was like, I need to stop and just draw. I need to draw John Pound's Hector Collector. So this is actually, I did try on this one to actually draw the card. But, you know, it's just a sketch. But, okay. I did backtrack and go, you know, I need to work on this. So I got hung up on the hands because I knew that I wanted the character Hector Collector, or it could have been Blow Joe, though. I wanted him to hold 10 packs because he's a hoarder. He's a collector. He's holding on to them. So you're seeing me go through different poses. Guys, this was so hard to think of. There is so much body language with some of these. This one to me is a little too Cabbage Patch Kids. Like he just loves them too much. Here, that just doesn't work. You know, some of them are just weird. And I think I end up, going with this one, which is the last one. Here is just a study of hands. Okay, and so then I started thinking about, well, I want to study the box design. What I noticed, please listen to this part. This is very important. I haven't explained this before. On the Series 1 box, what shape, if you had to pick a shape, just one of the basic shapes, what shape do you see? There's a triangle. If you look at the Series 2 box lid, now I do have a Series 2 box. It's only one of 3 known in the world, but I don't have the fucking box lid. But the box lid to a Series 1 cheap toy box done by John Pound, it's a triangle. So I knew that we needed a triangle. And so if you look at my box, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, you'll notice Fat Matt, or whoever the fuck that is a triangle. Adam Bomb, who goes here's a triangle, and then Hector Collector is a triangle. Okay, and you're going to see me go through many designs of this. Now, I still had some ideas stuck in my head that I'm trying to get through. Sorry about the glare. I'm going to do this. I still thought for a while I wanted him just opening his closet door of his bedroom with all his collectibles falling out. I thought that would be really cool. But as I was looking at it, the box art should have been triangular, and that's not triangular. On this one, I still had this idea that he's crazy, locked up in a loony bin. But as we go, it's going to get more uniform. Like there's pages and pages of these. So what these are, they're actually color rough. Pencil rough, like A, B, C, D. You know how Tom Bunk has like a bunch of them? Well, I don't know how many I have, but we'll look at them. So in the beginning, I was still hung up on this. I had him as a triangle, but he was going to be opening 2 closet doors. Reminds me of Samson from the Bible, opening, the columns, and all his shit's falling on him. I don't know why this is here, but I was, Potty Scotty, he's flooding something out. Okay, here he's a loony bin. He's got empty shelves because everything fell off the shelves, and he's sitting on a mound. Ridiculous now looking back, but I had to get this shit out of my head. I think this is the first one where I actually had the kid on there holding packs. But as you can see, everything's emptied out and dumped on the floor. Okay, these are in order. I did play around with the idea. I'm trying to hold this up with my left arm, a heavy fucking binder. He's on his bed. I still like this design a lot, by the way. He's on his bed. He's in his bedroom. I mean, what child doesn't have, nostalgia for this feeling of just being a kid alone in your room with your toys? I still love this design, but I could have taken this a lot further, but I didn't. Here, this is ridiculous how he's sitting like a little Buddha. Okay. Here, down here, I'm getting on it now. Now he's on a pile, but honestly, this is a trash pile. Sorry about that, the glare. Yeah, I have a TV, I have a can. I still haven't thought about putting them on a pile of bubble gum. Here, I'm still working with this. I'm starting to put things on the top, broken ceiling, but that makes me feel sad. I mean, I don't want to think of my character as truly living in poverty. I get that Fat Matt is the king of the city dump, but it didn't feel right to have an interior character living in squalor. And so, thankfully, I changed it. Instead of piles of trash and collectibles, I start thinking about it different. I don't know when it turned into bubblegum. Honestly, maybe we'll see that. I'm still trying to put the character in the right positioning. They look horrible looking back on it, but I'm just trying to figure out how the character could look sitting back into a bedroom on a pile. Like, how forward should he be? How should his legs sit out? This looks kind of good, by the way. It reminds me of Mad Donna from Series 2. Yeah, here I'm really settling down in the design. I've committed at this point. It's going to be a kid. It's going to be a triangle. He's going to be sitting on a pile, and I'm still throwing stuff on the ground, and it's just not working. I know there's something wrong, and what's wrong is it makes me feel sad. And plus, seeing these empty shelves, even though the concept was everything's falling on the ground, I'm just projecting my own hoarding nature onto the design, and it's just a big problem. I like this one because I have the ladder coming down, and later I use that on the box subtly at the top. On this page, I don't know, I kind of shit the bed on this one. On this one, though, I have the bag shining. I don't know if you can see that. I'm playing more with the drawers. I'm getting closer to what's going to become the design. Some of these I stopped halfway because I did something I liked that I didn't need to carry on. Plus, I'm getting more comfortable with this design. I'm like, okay, I can come back later to that. So I don't need to redraw this every time I do these. I can just start focusing on how big should he be in the design. Now this one, he's cross-legged, back into Buddha mode. It's just not going to work. Now here, this is the first time that I landed the character. I got him in the perfect position. He looks like he's sitting back in his room, like he's up on a hill. You know what I'm saying? And he's the right size. Now I'm going to show you the compromise. I did have to compromise. You're going to see the compromise in a minute. Now notice I put his reflection over here in the mirror. That was deleted later, and some more details, but let's see where this goes from there. Yeah, so I knew I was on it. So this is the first time I landed the perfect pencil rough. But then I had a lingering idea that he might needed to be larger. And plus, he's a different character design than that. This one's truly like a little baby. This one's a little older. I couldn't make up my mind. So what I did, you're going to see this, I split him. So he measured, I literally remember that day, literally measuring this motherfucker, measuring this motherfucker, and I divided by 2. And so if you look at your box design, if you buy this, he's the division between that pencil and that pencil. And even his face, I morphed it a little bit kind of in between, just slightly. Okay, now we're going to get into some better designs now that I found what was going to be the real deal. This is when I'm thinking about the color mapping on the box. Now, I'm not going to go into depth with this because none of it was used. But what this box was going to be was a green box, because it was going to be OS 1, OS 2, and OS 3. I was thinking this should be green. But later, the bubble gum came, and here we are. We're at the end. So what I wanted to do, this is my master. Oh, you can't see it because it's there. This is my master pencil. Notice it's a large size. This is a 11 by 14 sheet of Bristol, because this is the size of Tom Bonk's original box art. Okay, then I did the color rough. This is when an artist maps in the colors. This was never going to be published like this. There's supposed to be a third sheet of paper that has the final painting on it. So who did the final painting? Alvin did. So I sent this design, I sent him the color rough, a copy of this color rough, and he added the touches to it. Okay. Right. So that's how I went from nothing to this. This was the mindset of how we made the packs, right? And that's what we covered so far. Okay, so let's go and move into these pages. Okay, in 1985 and 1986, George Evans, who was a graphic designer at Topps, he made the cheap toy checklist. Now, this is mine, but what I did, I had to take each character that Al made, and I had to do a pen and ink. But I didn't do it in my style. I did it in George Evans' style. And I want to prove it to you. I want to show you this so you get what's happening here. I'm getting out some checklists. So I want you to look at this. Please bear with me. We're almost done. I want this to come across because I didn't do this in my style. I would have never done the line art like this. If you look at the first check, this is a real checklist from 1986. Look how dark Petey is. Look how dark Alice Island is. Look at that random dark spot on Janie. Look how thin some of the other ones look. Now, another thing, these are not perfect. They look kind of wonky. These were hand-drawn. And if you move to the Nova Bonbon checklist, very rare piece of paper here, it was done by a different dude, but it still has random dark spots. And so with each character, I had to think about this. How was I going to make it look like an authentic checklist? And let's lay these down here real quick. I've never done this yet. Yeah, mine comes off a little dark, but I don't know. It's fucking close. I mean, I got these thin. They should have been distributed a little bit more, but I'm really happy with it. The real test here, yeah, the camera's better now. There you go. All right, so I'm going to show you the painstaking work that went into this. So I had to draw each of the characters, and I had to ink them in a George Evans way. And I also had to, I can't get you close enough. I'm sorry, that's mine. Can I get you close enough? He has a, I can't. Sorry. He has a crosshatch style that looks like that. It has those little lines in it. Sometimes he goes into classic crosshatch. Other times they're just like these little lines. They're kind of random. And so I mimicked his style to make each character in a George Evans way. When I first started this group 14 months ago, this was one of my first posts. People were like, oh, those are pretty cool. Yeah, it's not my style, but yeah, I was just trying to make it in George Evans style. Yeah, no, they're not. They're not supposed to be the best. This one's pretty heavy-handed. Sorry, I can't fix the glare. This one's pretty heavy-handed. This was supposed to be my heavy-handed one, like Graffiti Petey. Like randomly heavy-handed. All right. So that tells you how this was made. So those designs were scanned into Photoshop and then they were rastered. They were already finished when I scanned them in. They were perfect because I had literally the art done. So I just scanned them in, cut and paste and put them in position, change the color. There was almost no work once I scanned them in. These I'm just sketching. This is kind of out of place random where I'm sketching the toys themselves that became the toys. We can look at those real quick too. Because what I needed to put the characters stuck around. And so I had to make sure I could draw them right. And it's always best, if you didn't know, to always have the object that you're drawing in hand. You don't want to draw from a photograph if you can help it, because photographs, they're distorted. The way cameras take photos is not the way your eyeballs see things. And so there's like, it's almost like, it's like a map. Guys know, like when you're looking at a map, they're having to distort the corners to allow for the curvature of the earth. Well, your eyes are curved and we have, two eyes. And anyway, it's a long thing. So it's always better. My point is, it's always better to, this is my other original art for other projects that I've done. Yeah, so that's basically it. I'll show you the toys real quick again if you haven't seen them, and we'll end with that. So yeah, that was the making of it. Now Alvin got done with the toys pretty early on. Within the first year, he was done. Now the color scheme was supposed to be, you know, a peachy, reminiscent of old cheap toys. We wanted a yellow, just a basic blue, basic red, and a basic green. Try to get the variety here. So this was the color group. We did think about adding rares to them, but we decided to, instead of doing rares with the initial release, come back and do rares. So for just this box, we kept it very consistent. In fact, there's even numbers of every toy. There's literally only 10 of Peach Clay Dreidel, and there's literally only 10 Sunshine Dreidels, and 10 of every toy there's 10 of. And there'll never be more than 10, because anytime he ever makes them again, there'll be a new formula mix. Yeah, so anyway, let's look at the toys real quick. Now, I had nothing to do, let me be very clear, I had nothing to do with these toys. In fact, I didn't even pick out the characters. I do think I inspired this one, though, but it doesn't even matter. Okay, so the first one, we can go in order of the checklist. The first one was Blow Joe. Again, I don't regret using Hector Collector, but I think it would have been thematically a little better had we done Bazooka Gum with Blow Joe up here. You can maybe see my vision here. And he's just fucking up his room. There's splat everywhere. Because on our bag, wherever it is, hold on, let me figure out where I put that. Oh, here. So on our bag, see that splat? That's bubblegum splat. On Series 2, it was a burst, like an explosion. On Series 1, there was nothing because this was the first series. Yeah, I'm sorry. I hope this isn't visually confusing. So Series 1, Series 2, they put that there because this is Series 2. They didn't need to put it there. On ours, I went with a bubblegum splat to go in line with gum, because they came with gum inside. So if I'm really taking this truly literally, it should have been Bazooka, Blow Joe on the top. Okay, anyway, Blow Joe. My favorite, bow and arrow. These are all molded with one piece of plastic or rubber. There's nothing glued or fused. They're a casting, what I would imagine a nightmare, almost improbable that he pulled these cleanly out of a mold. I can't imagine how many he wasted. I can imagine how many bowstrings didn't fill up in the mold, or these little arrow tips that he had to redo, right? Okay, next up is Hector Collector. So Hector Collector was designed to look like this. Now, he is the mascot, but for the toy, he's supposed to be holding something, and you can have him holding anything you want, like this. He could be holding your box in a display. He could be massaging Joe Blow's back or something. You know, he could be holding up bow and arrow somehow. Whatever. Next up was Snaky Jake. Okay. Snaky Jake looks like that. Those are snakes on his head. He's charming himself. Yeah, so let me tell you what the gags are. Now, some of these are classics. You probably know. So Bazooka Joe is the mascot of Bazooka Gum. So he's one of the iconic characters for Topps. In this one, everything's backfired. Instead of showing the world how fun it is to blow bubblegum, that was the point of Bazooka Joe in the first place. He's supposed to make kids buy bubblegum. It's backfired, and he's totally fucking fucked his face up with bubblegum. For bow and arrow, he's a Cupid who's supposed to be shooting an arrow into a couple to make them fall in love, but unfortunately his arrow went through his own heart, and I don't know if he killed himself or made him fall in love with himself, however you want to interpret that. Hector Collector, on the card, he's peeling back the sticker because he's such a hoarder and he's such a collector. He's trying to collect himself. He's pulling his own sticker with him in the design off of his own trading card. He's such a collector. He's willing to kill himself because he has to have it, even though he's on it. Snaky Jake is made of snakes and he's charming himself. Odd. Okay, next up is Clay Dreidel. I think the real hero of the release. This is a working toy. It's truly the ultimate cheap toy, if you think about it. It's a toy of a toy in a toy box. Anyway, this is for a Jewish holiday, I think. But anyway, there's really no gag. It's just a Dreidel with a face. But maybe, I'm sorry. No, he's dizzy. He dizzies himself on the card. Yeah, he has motion sickness. That's his reality. Next up was Thanks Gavin. It's an animated turkey that is going to be eaten, and he knows it. He's fixing to be eaten, consumed. It's pretty dreadful. Next up was Ugly Hands. As children, some of us drew little faces on our hands and we would talk to friends or something. I didn't do that, but I've seen cartoons with that kind of thing going on. But in this one, he's a gross hand. He's a grotesque hand. He has scars and warts. This isn't quite the hand I want to see a hand puppet show from, or whatever it's called, hand puppet show. Plus, he's drooling. And so, you know, it's garbage pail kids, so it's going to be pretty grotesque. One of my absolute favorite cheap toys ever, no matter what the series, is this one. This one's badass. To me, it's very animated. This is a snowman who is so cold, he's willing to sacrifice himself to get a little warmth. And he's literally killing himself. I love how Alvin made his back plain. Because if you think about it, if you're standing in front of, and this does not show this on the card, not much. If you're standing in front of a fire, this part would not be melting yet. It would be the front side. So that was brilliant work. And I never talked to him about it. This is something he did on his own. So that was brilliant. I would hope that I would have thought to left that blank, but I'm not even sure I would have thought of that. So major points to Alvin for that idea. Next up is a dinosaur who's permanently on display for the world. Imagine that reality, being a fucking dinosaur who has to be propped for everyone to see for eternity. I mean, your whole life has been on display, and that's the reality. That's the tragedy of Dinosaur. Unfortunately, she's alive. I mean, I wish she was dead so she didn't have to live stuck in a display in the Smithsonian. Last one is Stone Sean. This man is so stoned that he's turned into a statue. Perhaps it's his own mind that holds him in place. You know, if you've ever done marijuana, you can go down really deep rabbit holes of thought that if you sit in one place on your couch long enough, maybe you feel paralyzed or and stoned. So this is the reality of Stoned Sean. So guys, hope you enjoyed that. I do have, I can show you this. So I wanted to recreate the famous ad sheet. You're looking at a $200 piece of paper. This was done by Topps 1986. You see the original cheap toys. You also see the magenta. One of the great mysteries. You also see a Sunshine Janie. Anyway, I wanted to do that for us for this release. Not perfect. I tried to make it perfect. I want to go back and fix that white. It's way too beaming. But you can see my box design here on the front. Notice I cut these out. These aren't cut out in the real box. I did that to match those cutouts. And I don't know what else to say. Oh, so I put the, this took me a while. I had to backtrack. When I tried to cut and paste those on there and I colored them black, it didn't work out like I thought. And I actually had to go back and rescan the originals in to make those. Oh, you're blurred out. Sorry. To make those. That was a bitch. That's all I got, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, I just wanted to come back and explain just kind of my contributions to it. I'm sure Alvin will come one day and maybe share how he designed these, because that's a whole nother story. Probably a much cooler story than mine. But I'm not a sculptor. I'm a graphic designer. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, I see comments. Thank you. Yes, I see the question. So yeah, the toys are great. Yeah, the yellow's great. Yep. He modeled it after Minikin's yellow, but thankfully he missed the mark a little bit. And they are truly like sunshine yellow, except they're just waxy and they're kind of semi-clear. Yeah, you can see semi-clear, semi-trans. I do not know how Alvin chose these characters. I mean, Blow Joe, he just needed to be made. That's one thing about these toys. There are some characters that are just, we need to have them made. I'll tell you one off the top of my head that we have been talking about for 20 years in this hobby. We need a Montezuma cheap toy. It's so bad. There's other ones. Max Axe. Good fucking God. Can someone please make me a fucking Max Axe cheap toy? Please. Do you have anything, any skills at all? I don't, but maybe you do as a sculptor. Can you please make a Max Axe? Please, God. There's so many other ones, though, but I don't know how he chose them, but I'm not that shocked by these choices. Stone Sean is, God, what a perfect toy that is. Bow and Arrow, I never thought it was possible. Topps would have never made this toy because they couldn't risk the mold, wasting money on these not coming out right. Crystal Gale was a later series, and so that's why Topps missed her. A lot of these are later series. That's why Topps never did them, because they didn't come back to remake them. These are mostly, OS 1 and 2. Yeah. I don't know how he chose them. All right. To me, they come off as someone who's done so many toys that he wanted to challenge himself. I mean, no one would ever in their right mind as a new sculptor start with this. I don't think anyone would ever think to make this because it's such a casting challenge. Like, this is a nightmare. Like, I don't know how the fuck he did it. I have no idea. Like, those two are just, I don't know. I've done casting and like I could cast that, anyone, a novice could cast, a big block. There's nothing to it. Now you have to deal with air bubbles. Do you have a pressure pot in your house? If you don't have a pressure pot, you'd have little air bubbles all through it. So it does take equipment, and it takes a good knowledge of casting, a lot of practice, right? All right, that's all I see. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one, okay? I do want to come back and show you all 30 of Alvin's cheap toys. He did 2 other series. Let me clear this up before I leave. So this works in 2 ways. This is Alvin's 3rd series, but I asked him 7 years ago if we could use his 3rd series, do I need to do it? Guys, I got to do this. Let me go grab a binder. Hold on one second. Yeah, I do need to cover this real quick. 1 second. Okay, I have it. Oh, shit. Where are they? This is a working binder. 1 second. Yeah, this is like my play binder. This isn't my. These don't go to anything. Hold on. Okay, finally. So Alvin, like I said, he started in 2010. Now the first set, it took him a year. So in 2011, he put out the first one. That's his first checklist. Then he came out with his series 2. So this works. This last thing I'm going to talk about, I got to go. So this is Alvin's 3rd series, like personally, it's his third set he's ever done. But I asked him 7 years ago, could we please morph it into a fantasy one, two, three, and let me help you because I'm a trained painter, and let's make this the real deal. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you around later.